Hey guys, YouTube World Hundred here. Okay, yeah, now here I am with another Terminator review. And like I said, I'm skipping over a Terminator Salvation since that one doesn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so here I am with a review for Terminator Genisys. So, yeah, this one is interesting because this film, it kind of does sort of act as a reboot of the series, but also it's kind of a sequel in a sense too, because this film isn't really like a telling the same story that the original film did. What this film does is it is kind of like uh, kind of like taking the basics of the story from the original film, but they're like doing it in another way and like really just taking the tone in a different direction. And and yeah, it was actually kind of an interesting film. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the way this film starts out, it makes it kind of seem like it is sort of like a just a remake of the original film. Because yeah, for like the first 20 minutes of the film, it basically is just like going showing that how John ends up kind of recruiting Kyle and like everybody else in the resistance to fight against Skynet, and then yeah, it's shown that Skynet ends up sending a Terminator back to 1984 to kill Sarah, and then John and the Resistance end up sending Kyle back in time to protect her. But then it goes, the part comes where the Terminator like is about to like kill some people for their clothes, then another Terminator then appears, and then yeah, then like it just changes into like it shows that what we're gonna be getting is just a completely different story than what we did with the original film. So yeah, it was kind of interesting that at first it made it like seem like it was gonna be like a full on remake of the original, but then yeah, then we just like see like what this film is really doing. So, yeah, it was interesting how this film was done like that. Yeah. Now, was this actually a good film? Well, I don't know if I can actually say that about it. I mean, I do think it overall is better than Terminator 3, but I don't really know if I can actually go so far to call it good. Because yeah, there are like quite a few parts of the movie that are just like pretty boring. Like this film really doesn't isn't really like that well paced. I mean, there are like quite the number of boring parts in this, and there were some parts where I just like was kind of like just getting disinterested in it and really wasn't like really paying much attention to it. So uh yeah, so it really kind of does suffer from that, but overall, I guess it is like kind of like I said, it is interesting to see you like this kind of take being done because yeah, how this is being done is like I said before. There's another Terminator that is back in time that is there also, and it's shown that this Terminator was actually like sent and back when Sarah was 9 years old and protecting her, and yeah, he's like been with Sarah ever since. And then they end up like saving Kyle, and Kyle like teams up with Sarah and the other Terminator, and and then yeah, they just work together to really just stop Skynet and really just yeah, just like stop this whole stuff from happening. Basically, like what they have been doing in the other three films as well. So yeah, so I guess like it really just does like pretty much what the Terminator films have all done. So yeah, yeah. So well, yeah. So I guess it really does follow like the basic Terminator movie formula to it. Yeah. Yeah, and it does like do some things that are kind of interesting because in this film, like there's a T-1000 once again, and it's not played by Robert Patrick; it's played by another actor. Yeah, and and interestingly enough, like this T-1000 is posing as a cop as well, just like in Terminator 2. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that they decided to like kind of like do that kind of homage I should really like still have the T-1000 and pose as a cop. Yeah, and it's shown that throughout the film, like there are like more advanced Terminators as well, like a T-3000 that is posing as John Connor, and there's also we'll learn like there's a T-5000. And yeah, it just shows that there are now um more advanced Terminators out there now. Also, yeah, and and yeah, like I said, like this film really does like kind of like still like have a Sarah and Kyle like working together again. But yeah, Kyle's not really much of like a protector of Sarah in this. It's really like more like they're like working together along with the Terminator with that's like with Sarah, and then eventually like I said, there's like that T-3000 that's posing as John on in the film. So yeah, and yeah, I shown that this T-3000 is really like kind of one of the antagonists of the film. Mm. Oh yeah, and the T-3000 is like kind of interesting because what the T-3000 is, it's not really like liquid metal like the T-1000 is. What the T-3000 is, it's really like has a foil personality to yeah, it really is kind of like a foil personality, and really like its mission is to just protect and ensure the ultimate survival of Skynet, and it's but it really describes itself as like neither machine nor human, but it's a hybrid nanotechnological cyborg. So yeah, and it's really like the T-3000 is really like a the it's really like a pure robot that sits under flesh structure. It's still retaining overall human shape. And then, like towards the end of the film, it's kind of like shown how it really does like kind of have like more of like a silver skeleton and structure, and not really like the endoskeletal structure that like the T-800 Terminators have. So yeah, kind of like an interesting concept for another more advanced Terminator. So yeah. So yeah, like I said, I mean, this film can get like pretty boring at times. Like, yeah, I was kind of like bored throughout the film watching it, but I mean, I guess I can like admire that it really is like trying to what it was trying to do, how it was like really just like taking like the story arcs of the original film, but taking it like in another direction, as I said. Yeah. So in this film, like Arnold Schwarzenegger is really the only reprising actor in this film. Yeah, this film really does have like a totally different cast altogether. I mean, you still do have like some of the original characters. Like there's still like John and Sarah, as well as Kyle in there as well. Oh, and you also have like Andy Dyson, who was the son of Miles. He's in the film as well. Well, and he's now like the Cyberdyne president. And so yeah, it was interesting that they decided to do that and have like Danny Dyson really kind of like continue what his father had started. So yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. Well, and yeah, you also do have Miles Dyson in the film as well, and oh yeah, and he's really now like the CEO of Cyberdyne, while Danny is the president. So yeah, yeah, kind of interesting thing that they did there, where now Danny is really like following in his father's footsteps. And yeah, I guess this is a time when he's much older. Of course, like in this film, like Kyle and Sarah do they time travel to the future from 1984, and they time travel up to 2017. So yeah, it's like quite a while after like the year that Terminator 2 was set. So yeah, I guess by this time like Danny is now all grown up. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, and like I said, there are just like some like elements like that throughout the film. Like it was nice to see like the T-1000, another T-1000 in there, and yeah, the premise overall was like pretty creative in its concept. But yeah, overall, just the film, there are some things about it that just don't work, and yeah, it just is can get like kind of boring at times. So yeah, I don't know if I can really go so far to call it a good movie, but at least like I will give a credit that it was like interesting that they decided to do like the just a film with this type of a tone to it. So yeah. So as far as what I would give the film, I don't know. I probably like go like around the 2.5 stars out of 4 range. I don't know. Maybe I may go lower. Maybe I may go higher. I don't know. But yeah, it just is like it is kind of boring, and yeah, not like there's really not like a whole lot of memorable stuff about this film. So I really don't know if I can actually recommend watching it, especially like when it comes to like comparing it to the first two films. But yeah. But I would say oh gosh, I don't know. I guess like it is a better film than the third one, as I said, and definitely like better than Salvation. I mean, of course, like with Arnold Schwarzenegger being back, I mean, who's gonna complain about that, right? So I mean, yeah. So I guess like people may want to watch it since like Arnold Schwarzenegger's back in it. But yeah, when it comes to like how great the first two films are, and when it comes to this, yeah, I would agree that once again, just like 3 and Salvation, it really does like is part of like the downfall of these movies, and the franchise has just really gone downhill. But yeah, I guess like it could have been worse. So yeah, so I guess I'll just say that, leave it at that. That I mean, it's not really all that great, but it could have been worse. So yeah, all right. So I guess I'll just go over the premise of the film now. All right. So it basically is like the same uh, aim of opening as usual, where it shows like in 2029, John Connor launches an attack against Skynet, and of course, as they're in Skynet ends up like sending a T-800 Terminator back to 1984 to kill John's mother, and then John sends like Kyle Reese. He's back in time to protect her. And yeah, it's also interesting. Like in this film, of course, like it's John as an adult. And yeah, in the film, like John, like does have like those like kind of like those marks on the side of his face. Yeah, if like in the opening of Terminator 2, when it shows like John like leading the resistance as when he's a grown adult. Yeah, you can you it shows like he has like kind of like some sort of marks on his face. Yeah, he has them in this film too. So yeah, kind of interesting that they're like going along with it like that. Yeah, and then and yeah, but as Kyle ends up like being floated in the magnetic field of the time machine, it shows like John being attacked by another resistance soldier, and it's I think he's also like having some childhood visions about Sarah Connor. But then when the Terminator then arrived in 1984, like I said, it is basically like following his arrival in the original film, where he's about to like attack these guys so he can get their clothes. But then all of a sudden, like a second Terminator then appears, just saying you won't be needing clothes. And then yeah, the two Terminators then ended up fighting it out, and then eventually the one Skynet sent is destroyed. Well, yeah, and it shows that he is with Sarah Connor, and he's also like been labeled Pops by Sarah. Yeah, yeah, and like I said, this Pops Terminator was sent to protect Sarah when she was 9 years old, and he's been with her ever since. And when Kyle arrived, like it was basically the same concept as like he arrived, and then yeah, the police then found him when he was like taking clothes, and then they tried to arrest him. But then yeah, it was shown that the cop that was after him was a T-1000, and then yeah, he then like tried to kill Kyle, but then eventually like Sarah and Pops ended up saving Kyle, and then yeah, the T-1000 then like tried to chase them down, but then yeah, eventually then and they were able to destroy him, and yeah, and then yeah, it was shown that Sarah and Pops have been constructing another time machine like Skynet's, and Sarah had plans to travel to 1997, which was of course the year Skynet was self-aware. But then yeah, Kyle then like was explaining to them that since the timeline has been altered and the future has changed because of the warning in his childhood vision, and he convinced Sarah and Pops that they had to travel to 2017 to stop Skynet. So then, yeah, Sarah then eventually agreed to that, and then when Kyle and Sarah then arrived in 2017, of course, like they were naked in the middle of San Diego highway, and then they ended up being apprehended by police after they were like materialized. And then, yeah, when they were taken to the hospital and ended up being treated for their injuries, they learned that like Skynet is now called Genisys, which is a soon-to-be unveiled global operating system embraced by the public. And then, as they were being treated, John then just suddenly appeared, and this was still like John as an adult, and he then like just rescued Sarah and Kyle from the hospital. So, but then eventually Pops then appeared, and then he just ended up shooting John after Kyle then just, well, it was revealed to Kyle that John was his son. Yeah. And then, yeah, like I said, Pops then arrived and then ended up shooting John, and then it was revealed that John was actually like an advanced T-3000 Terminator. And yeah, it's like explained that as Kyle was traveling back in time, there was a T-5000 that attacked John, and he was transformed into a nanocyte infiltrator. And then John ended up being traveled back in time to assist with the development of Genisys, and hence securing Sky. And its machine's rise. Then he was just tasked with ensuring Cyberdyne's survival. Yeah. Yeah, but then as like and Skynet was like starting to initiate a worldwide attack the following day. Then Sarah, Kyle, and Pops then ended up like eventually escaping from the T-3000 after a fight with him to like a safe house, and then they were preparing to just destroy the mainframe for Genisys, and then as they were like heading to the Cyberdyne headquarters, there's the T-3000 was in pursuit of them in a helicopter, and as the T-3000 was chasing them, eventually Pops ended up just dive bombing into the T-3000's helicopter and made it crash. But of course, the T-3000 survived and then entered the Cyberdyne complex, and it advanced the countdown from the 13 hours to just 15 minutes, and then bombs were then just planted at key point in the facility by Kyle, Sarah, and Pops. While they were holding off the T-3000, and then as Pops was then just battling with the Terminator, eventually the T-3000 rather, yeah, the T-3000 ended up like being trapped in the magnetic field of a prototypical time machine, and then they both ended up being destroyed, but just like right before the explosion, Pop's remains ended up being flung out of the apparatus into an experimental vat, and then. And yeah, there was the explosion, and it then destroyed the T-3000. Yeah, and then Kyle and Sarah were able to reach the bunker under the facility, and the explosion set off all their bombs. And then then like Genisys was now prevented from coming online, and then it showed then like Pops was now upgraded with mimetic polyalloy components. It's like the T-1000, and he was able to help them escape from the debris. Yeah, and then just ended with like Kyle realizing that he has to like warn his young self, and so they then traveled to Kyle's childhood home, where then like showed Kyle as a child, and then Kyle was then just telling his younger self about Genisys, and then was just telling him to repeat the warning to himself to secure their arrival from 1984. So yeah, he was just like saying that to his young self, and then as a Terminator, as Pops, Sarah, and Kyle were then just driving off. There was then just like a closing narration from Kyle. yeah, and he was just like saying now that Skynet is gone, and now the future is now uncertain. But yeah, one thing is for sure that the future is not set. And then then the movie then just cut to credits then. But then yeah, like then there was of course then like a mid credit scene, and it showed that like through like all the debris from the explosion, it showed that the system core for Genisys has actually survived the explosion in a protected subterranean chamber. So yeah, it wasn't actually destroyed. But wait, so yeah, then I don't I think that this was like probably supposed to carry over to a sequel that was originally planned for this film because um apparently this film was actually like originally it was supposed to like be the start of like a new trilogy. Well, actually no. Terminator Salvation was like supposed to be a start of a new trilogy, but then yeah, then when this film came out, then this film was originally planned as the first film of a new trilogy. But yeah, in 2017, then it was announced that the next film, Dark Fate, would also like be uh another would another reboot once again, and it would be like a direct sequel to Terminator 2. So yeah, I guess like due to like this film probably really not doing so well, then like that the original plan was scrapped. So I don't really know. I guess like people probably weren't too disappointed by it since like this film really like isn't really all that good, but yeah, so I guess it's really not a big deal. So so like I said, around like the 2.5 star range out of four. I mean, yeah, like I said, it may go lower, may go higher. I don't know, but yeah, it is like an interesting film. Like I said, I mean, it's not really like all that good. It is like quite a bore at many points in the movie. But yeah, like I said, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, it was at least a step up from Terminator 3 and Terminator Salvation. So yeah, I mean it. So at least it's not the worst Terminator movie ever made. So at least we can give it that. So yeah, like I said, I really don't know whether or not to recommend it if you send it. I mean, yeah, if you are like diehard fans of like the first two Terminator films, this one probably won't really uh, get your interest in it. But I mean, yeah, if you really did feel like very let down by like the third film and Salvation, I mean, this is at least a redeemer for those films. So yeah, and for like I said, it was like interesting that it kind of like did like do like take the story from the original film in a different direction and really like go in a different timeline. So so at least it does that. So I will at least give it credit for like at least doing like different stuff with it. So at least I will give that to the film. So yeah, so I guess that's the best way I can put it. All right, so yeah, so I guess this does it for my review of Terminator Genisys. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review, and so yeah, and stay tuned because tomorrow I am going to see Terminator Dark Fate, and when I do see it tomorrow, then I will make the video giving my thoughts on that film. So stay tuned for that video coming tomorrow. All right, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.